Hi guys.
How are you doing, Irina?
I'm good. I'm a little bit sad that it's almost that it's basically over and that this is our last meetup. It's a lot of work, but it's also like such a fun event and like to have everyone with me and have these conversations. Welcome everyone. Glad to see you again or see you today. Um, so today is our officially the last Zoom, and I'll miss all of you guys, each and every one of you. It was wonderful to have this group and to learn so much. Like we shared so many wonderful tips and tricks, and to see everyone's shawls, and it's it's really amazes me every time that when you look at them, they're so different, and yet everyone is so beautiful. And I keep seeing, like, I just literally was on Facebook and I saw somebody post their show, and it was this super pale baby powder blue and darker blue and gold. um and I was like, oh my god, I wish I had those. I use those colors. So it's like it's endless. The possibilities are endless. It's lovely to see everyone's how different they all are. Um so since it's smaller today, like, you guys will have to help me out and show your progress. So who wants to start? Anyone?
I can go.
Okay, let's do it.
There's not a lot. So I've been toggling between clues 2 and 4. So I have two live edges. So I decided I'm going to do the eyelet and then the brioche and then the eyelet. So I will need more yarn. So that's why I'm trying to do clue 4 as well, so that I know how much yarn I have left if I'm going to do the wavy border or not, or do something else,
I
something
mean,
different.
you can also probably use just completely different colors, because I
Oh
saw
yeah,
people use like their main two colors for the show and then like something completely
yes.
different.
So I'm doing well. The I've been adding yarn, the solid colors, because they were part of the my contrasting color anyway. So yes, I'm thinking about that. So until I get there, I don't know yet what I'm going to do.
So one interesting discussion earlier today was about how you wear
Where?
shawls, because Catherine D asked that in on my YouTube video, and she was like, "I love making shawls, but I sort of have no idea how to wear them. How do you wear your shawls?"
Around my neck, mostly when I'm out and I have my coat on. But when I get into the work, because I intentionally sit under the vent so I can use my knits.
That's a,
And then so I have it all. You did say it is old fashioned, but I have it on my back, and then
I
it's
mean,
wrapped around. It feels so warm and cozy that way.
yeah, and I hate using the term as old fashioned, but this is
Mm.
like traditional way, right? Like
Yes.
people think of putting a shawl on, it was like over the shoulders, opening in the front.
I
So
don't mind. I don't mind being called old fashioned or anything. I mean, I'm cozy and I feel comfortable.
so what's your plan for this show? Are you thinking of keeping it for yourself, or you
Oh
give?
yeah, I'm never giving it away. Anything Steven West is mine.
Did you enjoy this show like in comparison to previous years, MKAL?
I've always known that I'm a slow knitter. I always wanted to join. I mean, I'm here for the fellowship and the community more than the shawl actually or the design. I love getting tips. I love listening to people. I love looking at their color choices, see what I will do next time. But then I'm never afraid of colors anyway.
Well, last year you went like, and you have it behind you. You went
Yes. Yep.
very bilingual in terms of combining knitting and crochet. Are you
Yes.
thinking of bringing crochet to the border?
Most likely, yes. But then it depends on what design I find. I have to look at different stitches and see how they play before I actually decide on the final border.
Right. Well, Martin, when he talks about himself, he always says that he's a knitter who crochet. Where do you see yourself?
I'm a crocheter who knits.
Really? Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I'm so glad that you were part of this year's MCALs. Thank you
Yes,
for doing.
so am I. So am I. I hope to see you at Vogue, Irina.
I'm gonna be there.
Yeah,
So
me. I
yeah,
plan on going
if,
there.
if you find me, just grab me.
I will. I will.
Um,
Hey,
yeah,
thank you.
and there is Jean is asking if there is no Martin today. So Martin is, as far as I know, like I didn't talk to him, but he was sick first, and then his band is performing somewhere, so he is not here today. Liz, can you please unmute yourself?
Hi, good evening.
Evening.
I finally finished the bubbles for Clue 1.
Okay.
I did not enjoy them, not one bit. It was that taking the stitch apart down to the bottom line, it just, that really bothered me. But I have started testing brioche. I'm
Okay.
swatching the brioche.
How is that going?
I feel like it's very loose and very sloppy and very inexperienced, and I need to do more. But I like it.
Right.
I really like it.
More
Um,
so than the bubbles?
the bubbles, I don't like the bubbles, but I like the brioche. So I'm just watching the brioche, and I'm wondering if maybe, do people go down a size, or is it just something that the texture, the closeness comes with practice?
Well, it's gonna, like, brioche has that accordion effect to it.
Right.
It does stretch.
Okay.
But it's also like once it's all knitted higher, it sort of holds shape. So I think you
Okay.
like usually you wouldn't go up a size needles for brioche.
Down size.
Right, you wouldn't do that.
Okay.
But
Okay.
it is stretchy and it is squashy, so it's
Okay.
normal.
Okay.
And,
But it's
and
still,
also,
because it's still new, it looks still sloppy to me. So,
right.
I just think that'll come with more experience.
Well, the thing is, this part and this part also will help to hold it in shape. So even
Right.
at the moment when you knit it looks very stretchy, once
Uh-huh.
you start doing the next row, it's gonna hold it in shape. It's gonna hold it in
Okay.
place more. So I think
Okay.
you should be fine.
I think so too. But like I said, I just think I need more practice with it.
Well,
And
you're gonna have a lot of practice because it's like 400 stitch long brioche section. So by the second row, you're gonna be professional. Like that's the way to think about this
I
pattern.
just want my stitches to look better than they look on my sample. They don't look very pretty right now.
Yeah, I mean, brioche is sort of like one of those things that it becomes better and better with the with practice. So I'm sure like the second row will look much better than the first row.
Oh, I'm sure.
But again, like overall in the whole vicinity of the shawl, you're not gonna see, like it's not gonna be,
Okay.
yeah. I think it's
But
gonna
it's fun.
it is a fun thing. I actually right now, because I finished the show, I just started the test knit for Julie Knits in Paris, and it's a super secret test knit, so I can't show it to you guys, but it has like all over brioche, and it just like such a joy for me. Like I was like, oh,
Uh-huh.
brioche. So it's actually like fun. Like once you get comfortable with it, like you'll
Yeah.
see yourself gravitating toward brioche projects.
Okay. I think so, because it just makes you work. You have to think. If you don't pay attention, you're going to lose it, I think.
Right, right. Um, can you show us yours? Like,
I've only got one hand free because I'm on a phone. So this is about as the best I can do for my shawl right now. Get a little closer. So I love these colors together, and my little bubbles they look okay, but
well,
I didn't enjoy them. And
I
then the
know.
brioche,
Yeah,
It's just a few rows I've gotten done, so it's not looking really wonderful.
it actually looks really wonderful to me. Like, I think it
Oh,
looks
thank
great.
you.
So like right now, because when you hold it, it sprays on top.
Uh-huh.
But if you just put it down, it's gonna continue,
Mhm.
it's gonna look straight, and your
Yeah.
eye cords are gonna keep it in place. So I think you're doing wonderfully, actually.
Well, thank you. I had to put I cords on the end because the first time I tried it, I just couldn't figure out what I was doing. When I put the I cord edging on it, it's like it started clicking a little more because I'm more familiar with working with I cords. I
Right,
enjoy them.
right, right. Well, you have to promise me, even though this is the last Zoom, keep in touch, and like when
I
you
will.
post something, just tag me. I want to see your progress on this show. I'll be curious.
Okay. I'll send you a picture via email because I have your email after winning the book. So I'm so thankful for that, by the way. And
A great book, and if you guys don't
it
know,
is.
uh it's Liz won a copy of Claudia Quintanilla's new book. It's called Memory Lane, and right, Memory Lane. There's two books
Yeah.
making memories. It's a kids book for needs for kids, and the second book that she just published, it's called Memory Lane, and it's beautiful, beautiful collection of sweaters, and
It
it's
truly is.
right, and
It
she
truly
has
is.
like it's size inclusive, and it's just beautiful, like very feminine needs. So if you guys want to check out that book, you would love it, I'm sure. So yeah, like email me. My email is
Okay.
fiberchats at
I've
gmail.com,
got it.
and I would love for all of you to keep in touch. Tanya, I know that it's late there, so let's add you. Thank you for staying up so late.
Oh, it's only 7 here. I'm good. In the
Okay,
daylight savings time.
how is your progress going?
Well, I was gonna say, I had to pause because number one, I had a test knit coming up. But also I was putting my mohair. I just had just a little bit of the mohair,
Mhm.
and I wanted to use it not just on the brioche. I wanted to use it throughout, and so I'm going to have to get some more. It just hasn't come yet. But I was thinking earlier that that our colors are similar, but I flippy flop the main color and the contrast color, and then my main color isn't speckledy like your creamy color. But I was just thinking how it does make quite a difference, the color placement, that kind of thing too. And so I'm almost to the of filling in the clue, filling in the circle on the clue 4. I've almost got to the first decrease, like the big decrease round, and then I'm having to wait on my mohair. But I was looking, my triangles are triangling a little bit more, I think, than other, but we were talking about that it's kind of I feel like it's more textural because it is that mosaic.
I think it's also, maybe you have a point, and maybe like if the light color is the main color, then it pops more.
Maybe. But I like, if I feel it, that I feel the triangle section more because of those slip stitches are kind of like a little bit tighter. And I think somebody said if you pull those tighter, they pop out more. And I think I did that without the tip, but
No, because yours
but
are,
I like the way it looks.
they're more visible for sure. Are you enjoying this section? Because that was my favorite from the whole show.
Yeah, I really like it. And I was having a hard time with the wedgies, but I did carry my my floats through the I cord, and I'm so glad that I did it, because I'm going to pick up with that contrast color, and you won't even be able to see it. I mean, it's in there, but you can't tell.
Yeah, that's a good, like, I mean, I wish I sort of thought about it when I was doing it, because those loose ends like took forever and a half for me to tuck them in.
And I'll never do it.
And the thing is, like, I didn't know that, you know, none of us obviously knew that there's going to be another border. So like, if you know that going into that clue, like definitely try to hide your ends in, because when you pick up that I cord, it's going to disappear. Like nobody's going to see them.
I crossed my fingers and just hope for the best.
Well, how much are you enjoying this MKAL and this pattern?
I love it. And I enjoy all of Stephen's patterns. I think even the ones that are not my favorite to look at, I'm enthralled with how much I learn. And I feel like I up my game every single time I do one. And we were talking earlier in the other Zoom about the I cords. And I was just going to say, because they can get tight, and mine are not. And I'm darn near using string. And so like my yarn has like no bounce, and it's pretty stretchy here.
Well, do you think like you are a loose knitter or?
No, but the one thing I have learned, and I don't know, I can't remember if I picked this up on one of my tests or something, but I have learned, because I've heard to go up the needle, but you can't really do that when it's, 1,000 stitches and 3 on the end that you want to do looser. So what I do is I just like, I am so loosey goosey on the I cord. And then after I do those 3 stitches, like I pull it and like loosen them up even more. And then I do the rest of the row. And that helps.
I figure like it's also part of having some experience with the I cord, because like I feel like I'm doing it subconsciously now. Like I'm not even paying attention to that, but like I pull those stitches a little longer so they don't become like, because like I've done so many shawls with I cord that it's becoming second nature, like you're not thinking about it. So maybe like that's the way to train yourself.
Right. And I'm thinking about for people that are newer or struggling or whatever, that kind of thing. But it's kind of a balance, because that edge, I mean, you want to have it strong, and you want to have it, I mean, you don't want everything to just kind of flop open, and you want it to, come together and bring it all to, circle it up. So
I think in most cases, like unless you're using cotton or something, like in most cases, it will stretch a little with the blocking. So it should be fine for majority of people, but it's a good point to keep an eye on.
Yep.
Just in case. Well, okay, Katya, you wanna join me?
Yep.
Hi.
I started a bit later than the rest, which was actually a plus, because I could hear all the tips and comments and design features, and so I added some pizzazz. So with the half circles.
Yeah, just hold it closer to yourself, because otherwise it's
Oh.
Yeah, it's hard to focus.
Yeah, I put some blurring in. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, the blurring is always triggers the camera. Yeah.
There we go. And my cat is pulling the knitting. And I put some glitter in, and I'm enjoying it very much. I had a late start because my mom died the 1st of October. So that was a bit of a worst case thing happening in my life. And knitting helps. So I was very glad to have this community. I was lurking. I tried to join some Zooms, but I had the times all wrong.
Yeah, it's the time of the year with the time changes in different countries. They change it at different times. So.
Yeah, and I had a night shift, and so I was I was telling my husband, I don't care if you want to go to bed. I'm staying up. It's half past midnight here, so
Oh, thank you
I'm
for
just
staying up. I'm so glad
just
you.
enjoying my knitting.
So
Yeah.
you are on what clue right now?
I'm closing up the top.
Mhm.
Let's see. I'm having a lot of fun with it. Oh, there we go again. And I
Yeah.
can see the triangles happening.
It's you can see the sparkle. It's beautiful. I love your colors. It's really
Yeah.
beautiful.
So I put some sparkle in, and I have two types of mohair. If I can, my cat stole the other one, I think. I have a brighter one
Yeah.
and a more softer one. So I'm switching those up, and I'm just having a lot of fun with it.
Well, that's
And
the main thing, right? Like you want the knitting to bring you some joy.
yeah, I much needed joy indeed. And what else? And I'm very glad it's 3 half circles, because the first time someone put it up, it was reminding me of floppy boobies. So I'm really glad there's 3 instead of just the 2.
I know, I was thinking about that because like when I was taking pictures with it, I was like, I have to be careful of how I place that. Otherwise it's gonna overlay the funny way.
Yeah, well, it was breast cancer month, so it if you have the pink, it happens. So well, I was very glad to have this community for support this time. So thank you for that.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you. Maya, do you wanna join me?
Yes. So I did finish the smaller version. And I am planning to do the border, but later
Mhm.
I have to have some deadlines. So that's how it looks. And I am
Beautiful. Are you
very,
happy with it?
very happy. What?
You're happy with it, right?
Yes, yes. First of all, I'm happy that I finished. And I want to thank you for the Zooms. I don't think I would finish it without this community, because it motivated me to knit a little bit more and take it with me on when traveling, and because I wanted to
So the progress.
something. I wanted to do the show and tell, and so that really helped me to stay on track. I think mine is a little smaller, because I just, when I was putting it in Drawerly, I saw that my yarn is actually light fingering and not fingering, so it feels a little small, but I didn't take the final measurements, but I think it's, perfect for me because I'm short, and
But you didn't block it yet, right?
I didn't block it. I have like 1,000 of ends to weave in. I may block it, and if I want to finish it by January, if I see I'm not getting there, I will block it and have it, so at least I can wear it before I decide to add the border. But it was a really great experience. I'm very happy.
I mean, the only thing, like, I would be curious to see if somebody doesn't do the wavy border, if you block it with pointy ends, I think it's gonna create this like very finished look to it, and I don't know. So if you're gonna be blocking it, maybe
think
try
so.
to do that and see if because like right now when you just hold it, it's like the straight line, right? Like, but when you if you
Well, it has some type of scallops, but
right, but they like he was showing that if you pull those brown circle,
Mhm.
I'm confusing my shape.
Yeah.
If you pull them into diamond shape, like
Mm.
it's supposed to create more defined borders. So like I wonder if you're gonna like it that way. You can try like one and see how it looks and then
I
decide.
think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, great project, and I'm looking forward. I'll definitely try to do next year.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us this time and sharing your progress with us.
Thank you.
Jean, do you wanna join me?
Sure.
Hi.
Hi. So I am just starting on the triangles.
Mhm.
just barely. But I've enjoyed it, even though I had some troubles with the bubbles.
What kind of troubles?
So the first time I did it, I thought I was going to be really clever, and I dropped down the stitch. I picked up the stitch from 8 rows below. I put it on my needle and knit it, and I did the whole row. And then I looked at his video, and the back of my work did not look like the back of his, because what didn't happen is it didn't, because I didn't go through, it didn't pick it up. So I had to pull back and redo it. But, you know, I laughed at myself. Yeah, I've been really enjoying it. I was a little nervous about the brioche. I'm actually using, it's really hard to see, 2 slightly different colors of mohair. One which is like a,
right?
yeah, this one's bluish, and then this one was some leftover from another project, which is like a jadeite, which is, I love that color. So, and I think I'm gonna try, I saw some people doing mohair with the little bubbles, and I might try and do some alternate, like blue, green, blue, green, blue, green. They're subtle, so maybe you won't be even able to tell. But this is my first time using Dark Omen yarn, and I really like it. It's
he's like such a brilliant dyer. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I've worked with his yarn before, and it's just like he has the depths to it and the shine to it. It's just like he's incredible. He actually was one of the first people I interviewed on my channel. So if you guys want to learn more about Francesco and Dark Omen yarns, check out that interview.
Yeah, I went back and watched it, and he seems like a lot of fun, and I love that he learned from La Bien-Aimée, and but he's going off on his own, so I think that's always a cool thing, right? Not only is she developing yarns, and she's also developing talents, so
right.
That's neat.
And I like the fact that he sees himself as scientist and not an artist necessarily, because he has like very scientific approach to how he dyes his yarn. So I find it very interesting and different from some other dyers who like do a sprinkle of this and a sprinkle of that, you know, and he's like very scientific in his approach to yarn dyeing.
Yeah. So
beautiful.
Even though I'm not done, it's a lot of fun. And on wearing shawls, I would say it depends on the shawl. I wear all my shawls differently. This is my glittering snowscapes, and I kind of wear it as a spiral twist, whereas others I will wear more evenly. And some I'll wear just off to the side. So yeah, the shawl speaks to you.
Let the shawl tell you how it wants to be worn.
Exactly.
Do you use the pins for the shawls to keep them in place?
Sometimes I have a couple shawls I do, but usually no. With the bigger shawls, usually they'll sit
right.
And stay in place. But some of the smaller shawls that I have, I'll wear a pin. Otherwise, they just kind of fall on the floor.
Right. My son, my oldest one, he likes to play with Stephen West shawls. So whenever he comes home, I'm like, you have to model for me. So he had on twists and turns, he literally just threw it in the air. And then whenever it landed on him, and he just kept on walking. So like it works. Any way it lands on you, it's usually good.
Have you given him any of the Stephen West shawls?
No, because he's not gonna he knows he's not gonna wear it. He wears all the I make him beanies, and he climbs, and he's a rock climber, so he climbs in them, and there's like numerous pictures of him in the beanie. Like he called me today on FaceTime, and he had the beanie on his backpack. Basically, I was like, oh, I see it's getting colder out there. So, but like shawl is not something he's gonna sport on day-to-day basis, but he's always happy to model.
Oh, that's nice. That's the best of both worlds. He'll model for you, but then he leaves it and doesn't take it.
Right, and then I can wear it.
That's awesome.
Thank you for joining us and sharing.
Thank you.
Today. Sandy, do you wanna join me?
Hello.
Hi.
How is everyone? I have a confession to make. I don't know how to knit. So this is how far I've gotten on my project so far. I bought yarn.
Oh, perfect. That's the most important step.
I am a crocheter. and have been watching, Irina, all of your fiber chats. They're wonderful. It's been so interesting to see different aspects of the fiber world, and has really opened my eyes to some of the possibilities of what I can do. So I'm really excited about that, and I am starting to learn to knit. I should say that. But this combination you see on my picture is what I came up with as kind of my goal by the beginning of the year, maybe, to be able to really get a start on that. But I just wanted to say hello to everyone. It's been fun listening in and seeing everyone's color choices and your work and hearing about your history with knitting. I turned 65 this summer. I thought, I need a hobby. Work is only going to last so much longer. I need a hobby, and just jumped in with both feet. I started crocheting in May, and have I'm really excited about the whole spectrum of things that I can learn and enjoy. So thank you, Irina.
Are you learning English style knitting or continental style knitting?
Well, I started with continental because I've done crochet. So I thought, well, that might be easier holding my yarn in the left hand. But then years ago, I did a tiny bit of knitting and was a thrower. I would use my right hand. So I haven't figured that out quite yet. We'll see what turns out to be the most comfortable way for me to hold the yarn and get it going. I have problems with tension. I guess I'm really tight. So right now, my biggest struggle is just to make the needle go through the loop on the other needle.
Okay, I have a suggestion. I have a playlist on my channel. It's called Combination Continental Knitting, and it's guaranteed to make you a looser knitter. There is step-by-step tutorial explaining like all the theory of it and how to do it, and it shows really close up, step-by-step, like everything from the very basics to like more advanced stuff. Give it a try, and I'm going to go on private Zoom with you and talk it over and see if it's gonna help you.
Okay, all right, yeah. It's just a playlist. Is that what the name of it is? Is combination knitting on your channel?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Give it a try and see if it's gonna click, because we might just make a knitter out of you.
Well, I know I'm going to be there. I'm so excited about all the things I could make, and socks. I want to make socks. The shawls, of course. I was talking about Stephen West at lunch today, and my daughter's a climber too. I smiled when you said we're talking about your son. I took 5 climbers from Brooklyn to lunch today. They're visiting from there. We live in Kentucky, so they're going to the Red River Gorge. I don't know if you've heard of that from your son. So they're headed to the gorge today, and we were talking about knitting. So it was a lot of fun.
I knitted a lot of things for climbers. So like there's a lot of climbers out there that's sporting some of the hats that I made for them. So
yeah, I've got hats in my pile. I have a huge stack of books of everything. So far it's been all looking and seeing what I can do, and thinking about fibers and patterns and what makes a good pattern and who writes a good pattern, or I've got this huge list in Ravelry, everything from Stephen West shawls to the ranunculus sweater to the hats of the national parks. So by next year's MKAL, I'll have all of those things done, and I'll show you my 50 national parks hats and my 25 Stephen West shawls, right?
That sounds wonderful to me, and I have no doubts that you're gonna succeed. It's all like one stitch at the time, and if you're capable of crocheting, you're totally capable of knitting as well. Like it's very similar. It's like learning to read another language. Like once you know that the letters make sound, you understand how the languages work. So regardless of like whether you understand what you're reading, you can read, right? So it's the same with knitting and crochet. It's very similar idea.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to learning the shorthand and the patterns, and being able to know what the knit two together is, and the, you know, versus another stitch, and really understanding what's going on.
Tutorial for that too, so just check out
Okay, all right.
the
I'm signing up for the Arena School of Knitting today.
You might find, I mean, it's like, and that's not because I'm trying to convert people, it's because for crocheters specifically, you might find that it just clicks faster, like it's similar to how you hold yarn and crocheting. So keep me posted on that.
I'll do that. And I was the one who suggested on one of your videos that you and Martin be interviewed, or interview each other. I think everyone's story is really interesting of how they learn to knit and what they're knitting, and it's just fascinating to me.
I do have Martin's interview on my channel, so if you guys want to learn more about Martin, I asked him some very impertinent questions, and they're
that's the best kind.
Yeah, and yeah, maybe I mean, he's just a very busy guy, so it's hard for us to coordinate sometimes, but he'll do it.
Yeah. And whoever it was that said the shawl looked like boobs, I agree 100%. I saw that too. When you had it draped over the shoulders and there's the two semicircles, I'm like, all right.
And they're generously sized.
Yes, yes, as am I.
Well, thanks, Sandy.
Thank you. Nice to meet everyone.
Have somebody under MKAL, and so I don't know the name.
Hi, Irina. I'm Jane from Australia.
Hi.
And I'm not used to using Zoom. Forgive me, everybody, but I don't use it that often. And so I put my ideas in as MKAL, but I'm Jane anyway from Australia.
Nice to
meet you. I'm so thankful to you, Irina. I sent a message on your site the other day to say thank you, because you just are so generous with your time, and everyone with their knowledge. It's quite different from knitting 50 years ago, when we had to go to our local yarn shop to get any information. So I'm a big Stephen West fan and a big Irina and Martin fan. But I've only I've knitted a lot of Stephen West shawls, but I haven't, I've only knitted 3 of them MKAL. And I love them. I mean, I just love I love to put color together. I love the creativity. He just brings me so much joy, as both of you two do as well. And everybody in the community who just shares ideas, and you think, oh, I'm not crazy. That happened for me too. And so, you know, you kind of connect.
Well, it's not like that, but sometimes it's like, why didn't I think of that, right? So sometimes like you go through knitting and you're not like necessarily thinking about like, how could you change it? And somebody else does something that you haven't thought about it, and you're like, oh, shoot, like I should have done that.
Yes, well, that's exactly right. And it doesn't matter how long you knit, and referring to the lady just before who just started knitting, it's just such a process where you never stop learning. And I find that I learn through pattern usually. You know, with Stephen's patterns, I might not knit them again because I think, whoa, some of them, and how could I incorporate it? But always when I've never knitted a bubble, for example. I've not knitted a triangle, and I'm on my 3rd. I've just finished literally this morning my 3rd attempt at the triangles, because I did what Martin did, but in the reverse, and I knitted too few short rows. I thought that final short row, looking at his video, was not, you didn't actually knit it, you just sort of turned around and came back. So what I ended up having was 3 stitches in every triangle on the outer edge, too short. And what happens with that is that when clue 4 came along, I thought, oh my goodness, that's not going to work, because when you looked at the count to get to have it even, and I thought, I've got to do the whole clue, you know, the 4 plus. I can't just stop it. I have to knit the whole thing. And so I had knitted it once already and made that mistake. And then the second time round, plus I didn't like one of the colors I'd put in. I'd done a lot of mohair through it. And the second time round, I had 6 stitches extra on the I don't know how I did it. I was knitting tired, which I do often, midnight, and you're just knitting away and something else happens. So this is my third attempt at the final border, at
Right.
least the clue 3, which but I've loved it. It's
Okay,
great.
so like there was a trick discussed today at the earliest Zoom. So if any, and it's not for you specifically, just in general. So let's say you didn't have the 18 stitches here on this top of the triangle. You could find the center of the triangle and figure out where the 8 stitches with the yarn overs are. That's going to be symmetrical on both sides, and then just, you know, fudge
Yeah.
the stitches. Like do, sometimes it would be like 3 stitches on each side or 2 stitches on each side. So like as long as these
The
holes
maths.
you're
Yeah.
aligned with the center of the triangle, you should be fine. So like if somebody is struggling with keeping the 18 stitches
Right.
on that triangle, you don't have to undo all the triangles unless you are like my hero here, willing to do that. And I have to tell you, like, so
Yeah.
when I was interviewing Suzanne Bryan, she said this thing. She's like, listen, you know, it's an entertainment value because you're going to a movie, you buy a ticket, and it's like $25 plus popcorn, and then you leave the movie and there's like nothing
Exactly.
to show for it. But if you need something and you have this $25 skein, you're gonna have this item for years. And if you make mistakes and you undo it, it just doubled the value of your entertainment. So
Yeah, I agree with
you
that.
triple that. You triple
Yeah, I
the
love
value
that
of
thought.
your entertainment.
Yeah, I love that thought. And the other way I look at it too, or one way I look at it, similar to what you're saying, is that I'm going to be wearing this for a really long time. And for instance, I'd put a red mohair or a hot pink mohair in here, and it was just too like. There wasn't enough contrast. And it was way back down here in one of my editions, one of my renditions on the triangles. And I think, I'm just, my design head just says, I don't want to look at that for a long, long time. So, okay, I'm going to rip out because I've got 6 stitches too many anyway. And so I'm going back. But if I'm going to wear it, I don't mind taking, or a jumper, anything. I don't mind taking something out because I know that I'm going to be really happy with the garment in the end.
Right.
And I agree with what you say. I mean, it's just knitting, so it takes a couple extra nights. So what does that matter? You know, it's just knitting. It's just lovely to do.
No, and I caught myself doing that just today. I was again knitting on that Julie Knits in Paris shawl, and there is like repeats of the same thing. So I skipped one repeat. And by the time I figured it out, I was like 6 rows higher. And then I was like, nah, I don't want to leave this that. And it's a test knit and it should be perfect. And I just undid the 6 rows. And at the end, it's like it's just 6 rows, right? Like, so you need an extra hour. It's extra hour of joy.
Exactly. That's right. And I always feel really good at the end of it that I've completed it as I would want to wear it, and with colors that I would want to wear. But when we were talking about what does it remind you of, I don't know if you've seen the houses in Africa that people paint yearly, in Mali and Ghana, but they paint these wonderful designs. There's a book on it that I had many years ago about the African houses. And when I looked at these triangles, especially with broken colors in yarn, it reminded me so much of those African houses. So not so much reminded of boobs, but definitely reminded of African houses, and especially with the triangles. But yeah, I just had another look at the photos the other day of those houses, and I just thought, oh yeah, I feel a primitive design in this piece, and I really like it. But yeah, I've loved the others. Last year was a little more complex. It reminded me a little much of 60s sort of patterns in the points of the shawl, and it didn't resonate, but I always love to do it because I look at a stitch and I think, how does the genius of this man figure out that will work? I just see it as total genius mathematically. And same as doing the border. I
The fact
tried
that
the math.
he's like reinventing himself every year, and it's like
Yeah,
come up
every
with
time.
something totally different every year. It's
Yeah.
it's
I
definitely
would love to. Anytime I'm knitting one of his pieces, I just think, oh, I'd love to get inside your head, Stephen, because it's just genius to me. It's, you know, mathematically. And when you were talking about tweaking the triangle to add on, I actually started doing the maths the other day. I had a sheet of paper and I had maths going here and there. I thought, you know what? I don't know how people do that. You're very good at maths, I think. I think your background might be engineering, Irina. And maths, and I don't mind maths, but I pattern. I don't actually like doing maths in pattern much, so or something. So I leave it to the designers. But
so
anyway,
that's why we haven't loved Stephen.
exactly. I'm so thrilled that I chanced upon him quite a few years ago, like 5 or 6 years ago. I just can't believe what he keeps producing, and in his books and patterns, I have a zillion of them, and I just am fascinated with reading them, you know, and knitting them too.
Yeah.
But
Well, thank you so much for being part of the MKAL with us.
oh, well, I finally made it. The last 2 years, I ended up having viruses at this time of year. And I thought, right, I actually discovered Patrick from Canada through your interview in Humans of Westknits 2 years ago. And I contacted him because I was totally in love with the colors that he'd used for that MKAL.
Yeah.
And since then, we've had a communication. So the community works in that way, in such a great way that, you know, you actually, with respect, can contact some people if they want to be contacted through Instagram and things like that. And
I
we've
love
ended up,
hearing that. Like, this is
yeah.
the favorite part about that. The fact that like you can find new friends through this Zoom. It's
Yeah.
definitely makes
Well,
my
he's become my sort of MKAL knitting buddy now,
Right.
and we kind of communicate. And shout out to him too if he watches this, because I've just had heartfelt feelings about him going through the fire and losing his home and job and in the car.
Yeah.
And he's such a lovely person, and we just learned so much from knitting. And one other small thing too was that through the videos that I came across with you with Humans of Westknits, I then found Martin, and I've only just bought, I didn't know what that yellow and shawl was that he has in his opening videos. And the other day he explained what it was, and I dived to my yarn shop, which is Sunspun, your ears were burning the other day because we were talking about you. Because she'd met you at the Vogue knitting thing, Virginia at Sunspun, and she has wonderful yarns in that shop. So I ran over there and got this yellow and winter white that Stephen had made that shawl in. And that's how the circle goes. It's just so, even though we can't meet in person very easily because we're so far away, it's just great, especially from Australia, to have, because we, you know, our seasons, it's cold in Melbourne where I am, but
the opposite side of us.
we don't have the kind of community that you all have in America and Europe. Yeah. So anyway, I don't want to take too much time because other people might like to talk.
No, I loved having you here with us. Thank you for joining us today. Tanya,
Well, lovely.
wanna add something?
Thank you, Irina. Nice to meet you all. Bye.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I've taught my best friend to knit and to crochet, and it's kind of interesting because she'll call me and like, oh my gosh, I've messed something up, but I don't want to rip it out, but I've messed it up, and is it going to be okay? And so I love that, like she's learning, like, can I fudge it? Do I know how to do that? You know, and that empowerment, but also, you know, what hurts your heart more, ripping it out or having to go back, or just leaving it and having the mistakes. And so what we always say is that, you know, the Indians say to leave a mistake so that the evil spirits come out. And so she'll say, oh, well, there's no evil spirits in this one. They're all
That's so funny. I actually, yesterday, my son called me and he works in a startup company. He just recently started working there. And they somehow, I don't know who told them, I'm guessing him, but they know that I'm a knitter. And there are a few people in the company that want to learn how to knit. So he was trying to convince me to give knitting lessons. Mind you, I never taught anybody how to knit. And I guess I can, but it's sort of like I'm a little bit terrified because I'm like, okay, how do you teach somebody to knit in 2 hours? Like, what do I show them? Do we start with brioche? Like, you know, so it's sort of like, I was like, maybe I can introduce you to some other teachers and they can teach the company. And he's like, no, it has to be you. They only want to learn because of you. So you have to teach them. And because I'm knitting combination continental, I was like, okay, do I teach them combination style or do I teach them the English style knitting? Well, just confuse them, you know.
Well, and this is because I have taught all different kinds of people. I teach almost everybody that I come across. Anybody that's ever lived with me, they know how to knit. So, but I teach also children. And one thing, like if you show them the basic, like this is kind of how to do it. And I always say, this is how I do it. And this is how I find it most comfortable, but there's lots of different ways, and don't let anybody tell you that you're doing it wrong. And so even my best friend, because the way that I teach is I have my knitting, they have their knitting, and they sit, you know, I sit her next to me and I say, okay, if this is what you're going to do, this is how I would do that. And then she will fumble it and figure out which is her comfortable way to do it. And then that's how she does it. It looks nothing like what I do, how I do it, but it turns out great, and who cares?
Well, so like that might happen. We'll see. I'll keep you guys posted about that.
It's fun. It's fun to let them, to bring them, but also let them go and figure it out and do. It's very.
Okay,
like,
let me ask you, if you had 2 hours, would you teach knit and purl or just knit stitches?
I would say, to me, if you had 2 hours, I mean, that's kind of enough time to do a little bit of something. What I would say is teach them the knitting and get them real comfortable with that motion. And then like right at the end, like maybe, 20 minutes before it's over, say, okay, now you can purl, and this is how to do it. Because you can do a lot of things with garter stitch, and so they don't have to know how to purl. But say, here's this other rabbit hole, you can do this, and here's like that. So that's 2 stitches plus a cast on, and let them try it. But then it's also gonna, because there's combination, there's the other way. And when I learned how to knit, I was 17 years old, and my best friend was knew how to knit, and I knew how to crochet, and she wanted to learn, so we taught each other.
Mhm.
And it was really neat because she knew how to knit, but she didn't know how to purl, and I could crochet. So I said, okay, like, so I want to go the other way. So I just kind of looked over the back and saw, and I just, in my mind, I made up combination purling or a Russian purl or however you call it. But to me, that's just how I do it. And it's only been in the last couple of years that I found out, oh, there's a name for it, and I'm not doing it wrong. It's just different.
Right.
So.
Well, I'm gonna still think about it. So we'll see if that's gonna happen. I wanna thank you all, guys. You made this such a wonderful experience for me. I loved having all of you in my Zooms and sharing thoughts and learning from you and hearing all the tips and tricks and seeing all your wonderful, inspiring shawls. you know how Maya said that we kept her on track because she had to show progress? You kept me on track for sure. Because, well, first of all, I had to beat Martin, of course, but then besides that, it was just so I know what we can talk about. So I had to keep pace, even though I did a lot of traveling this month and it was tough, and I did a lot of airport kind of knitting, but I just wanted to make sure that like I know what we're talking about, what the next clue looks like, what kind of trouble we might run into. So thank you so much for being part of the Humans of Westknits MKAL community, and I hope we'll do it again next year. And please keep in touch. You know my email. It's fiberchats@gmail.com. I'm always on Instagram. I answer all my DMs. So just stay in touch. I would love to see your finished projects, and I would love to see your progress with it. And thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.